Jeanne Beker is here unbottled and willing to talk about her extraordinary life, lumps and all. Her new book is Finding Myself in Fashion. Her new clothing line is available at the Bay. It is called Edit by Jeanne Beker. Sort of.
Well, I made the edit. I made the edit, yes.
Exactly.
Edited by Jeanne Beker.
But you're not in the room. The new room.
Oh, in the room? Oh, no, the room
at
the Bay that's, you know, the splashy opening is tonight. Oh, that's very swish, very high-end. That's like, you know, you genuflect when you walk through the doors of that particular department. I mean, and it's stupendous. And we have such talented designers and some Canadian talent represented, you know, on that particular stage. It's great to see.
Canadian talent like?
Erdem, fabulous designer. Kate Middleton has been wearing him out and about.
Really?
Yes, originally from Montreal, actually, you know, went to school at Ryerson and now is based out of London, England, doing really well. Jeremy Lang, another wonderful young designer who's really making his voice heard outside our borders now. So it's just always great to see these Canadian kids go for it.
Yes, I worked at Eaton's in my youth. Who didn't work at Eaton's in their youth? And we had the mirror room. Oh, and it was the same because fashion was so hot, and Eaton's was the fashion store, and we did the big ramp shows and the Bonds for Israel show and the Craven A show in the days when you could smoke and bring models out of
thank God for those cigarette companies in the early days. I mean, I should never say thank God for a cigarette company, but they did put a lot of their money into fashion in the Matinee Foundation. I remember used to sponsor all the fashion shows. I mean, now, like, oh, that obviously would never happen, but yeah, interesting.
No. Interesting, those days.
Something good came out of something bad.
Yes, and speaking of that, your mom and your dad now in the heaven, but your mother, a survivor, like yourself.
Both my parents were Holocaust survivors and brought me up to be fearless and tenacious. You know, that was my dad's motto, don't be afraid and never give up. And I think that's what's seen me through all of it and continues to see me through all of this.
What was it like to take your mother back to Poland?
Oh, that was pretty interesting. Now, we didn't go back to the little shtetl, the little village that she was from, of course, because now actually that part of the eastern Poland is the Ukraine, and I thought that might be a little too heavy, too emotionally intense. She lost her entire family during those war years. But I did have the chance to take her back to Warsaw several years ago, and she acted as a kind of translator, which was great. And it was a real eye-opener for her to, you know, come back to Poland and feel so honored. And you know, they gave us the red carpet treatment because, you know, when she had left there all those years ago after the war, she truly felt like a second-class citizen, to say the least. So that was interesting.
And she got red carpet treatment.
Oh, absolutely. And people, the minute, you know, I stood up at a press conference, you know, we went back, I should put it into context, because we sold fashion television to Poland.
Okay.
Now, really, fashion television had been pirated in Poland illegally for years. So when I arrived, I was already a celebrity. People in Eastern Europe had been watching me for years and they knew me, but bringing my mother along and introducing her at the press conference and saying, and this is my mother who is originally from Poland, a Holocaust survivor, all of a sudden nobody could care less about talking to me and listening to my fashion stories. They just wanted to ask my mother, you know, what her experience was like, you know, in Poland. What was it like before the war? What was it like during the war? And she even had a little speech, unbeknownst to me, prepared in her purse, and she stood up at the press conference and she made like the 6 o'clock news that night. It was a hoot.
How interesting, because I bet she was a little reluctant to go. Even you have a desire to go, but all the pain that was there.
Oh, she was scared. Yeah, she was scared. She's you know, always scared about telling people that we were Jewish. You know, I think they asked when we were applying for the visa, you know, and what was the name of your father or something, and my father's name was, you know, Moses, and she said, I'm afraid to say that his name was Moses. And I went, well, why? Because then they'll know that we're Jewish. And I said, Mom, it's okay now. You know, no, I don't know. You know, when you've lived with those kinds of secrets for so long and that kind of fear, I guess it never really leaves.
Probably not. I can't imagine it would. Anais Nin, and you quote her in the book, life shrinks and expands in proportion to one's courage.
Yeah, definitely.
On the rough days, when you're trying to balance it all, and I know it sounds a bit frivolous to say, oh, you have to balance it all because you have to hop a jet and go see Valentino and interview
Trust me, baby, it's a schlep some days. No question. I don't care how fancy it all sounds. You know, when you're up all night and you're trying to pack and throw your stuff together and make a flight, and you're dead tired, and you've got your kids doing some kind of show that you would really wish you could be there for that, and your poor mom isn't feeling too well, and you're worried that you're not going to be able to have Friday night dinner with her because you're going to be halfway around the world. And no, it's a juggling act.
Sure. You talk to any rock star and they will tell you, or anybody who tours a lot, it's all glam, and the concert's over, the gig's done, and you're back in your room pretty much with the cold burger or something like that, and calling home or making your little shrine on the bedside table and getting up for a 4 o'clock call to hit the airport, all of that. But you, when you meet a rock star, occasionally you get in the bathtub with them.
Occasionally.
Occasionally.
Trust me, that doesn't happen that often. But, well, the first time I interviewed Andy Summers, shortly after the Police launched and they came to Toronto, and nobody really knew quite who the Police were. This was like maybe 1980 or something. I sat on the edge of a tub with him and interviewed him because he thought that would be a funny thing to do. And I was all like, yeah, rock and roll television, let's do it. Yeah. But this last time when he came to town a couple of years ago with a wonderful photography book, and I thought, oh, Andy Summers, I remember him from those old days. I want to interview him again and talk to him about his photography. And he remembered me and said, okay, yeah, great. And I said, okay, how should we do this interview? He goes, let's do it in the bathtub again. And I thought, okay. And I thought, but you know what, this time, and as a joke, maybe I'll get into the bathtub with you. And he was like, absolutely, you should get into the bathtub with me. So I ended up putting on a little, leopard bikini and getting into the bathtub with him.
Of course, it would be a leopard bikini. Of course, you just happened to have one, did you?
It was, yes, I did.
In your carry-on?
And I just sort of, sucked in my gut as I disrobed in the bathroom. And Andy had set the thing up with little candles around the tub. And we ordered Cosmopolitans from room service. And he rolled a joint.
No.
And we started having the best interview I ever conducted until he sort of, in a fit of laughter, threw his head back. And his hair caught on fire from one of those little, votives that he had burning.
So your producer's saying, go. Yes. And who bought the bubbles?
No, but listen, I want to say, and I'm proud to say, I produced that segment myself. I didn't really, at that time, it was me and the cameraman, and a big bottle of Mr. Bubble.
I bet, because there is an age when perhaps we don't want the bubbles to dip too far.
Yeah, especially, I didn't want to see what he had to offer.
So what did he tell you in the what did he tell you in the tub?
Oh, we talked about life and art and the whole human condition. What do you talk about in a bathtub?
I don't know, especially with him. With Sting, I could think of something to say.
Yeah, I still get off on seeing Sting. I just saw him at the Eden show. Bono's wife does a wonderful clothing line, and they had a show in New York a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
and
really?
Sting was there with Trudy Styler, his wife.
Well, Trudy watches him like a hawk. Right?
Well, he practices tantric sex, right?
I know he does.
Isn't that what they say?
He does.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. That could be scary.
They say, me has not done it. But they say it is quite spectacular.
Oh, yeah?
And anything Sting says, we believe, right? Why not? Jeanne Beker, our guest, will come back. Oh, yeah, I did some tantric.
Really?
Yeah.